Something was taken. Not money, not an object, but something far more personal. Something that, once lost, left only questions in its place. The strangest part? No one noticed. At first. But if you look closely, the clues were always there. Welcome to Season 2 of the Spark Space Podcast, Quest for the Lost Spark. Over the next 12 episodes, we're going on a journey through careers, passion, and purpose. A journey that begins with a single question. What happens when a spark disappears? Maybe you felt it before. That strange, lingering feeling like something is missing, but you can't quite explain what. Maybe you once had a dream, a passion, a calling, and then, one day, it just faded. Was it stolen? Forgotten? Or was it buried under the weight of life, waiting to be uncovered again? That's the mystery we're solving this season. A mystery that, by the end, you won't just understand. You'll feel. But before we go further, I have something for you. A clue. The first piece of a puzzle that, if followed to the very end, will reveal something you never saw coming. Here it is. A name is missing from the ledger. It was once written in bold, but now there's only a faint mark. The first letter is visible. B. Think about that. A name missing, and the first letter is B. What does it mean? Could this be the key to understanding what was lost? I wanted to start this season with a story about giving, because giving, true selfless giving, is the opposite of taking. And maybe, just maybe, understanding generosity is the key to understanding what was lost. Our guest today knows this better than most. Today, we're spotlighting a truly remarkable changemaker whose story is sure to inspire you. Imagine starting your philanthropy journey as a child and making a tangible difference in thousands of lives. Our guest has done just that, crafting and donating over 22,000 soaps to people experiencing homelessness, spreading hope and dignity one bar at a time. He's also a world traveler, a newly published author, and a global inspiration, with features in Teen Vogue, PBS, People, and more. From early sparks of kindness to an extraordinary life of giving and storytelling, get ready to meet someone who proves that passion and action can transform the world. Please join me in welcoming the incredible Donovan Smith.
Woo! Yay!
Yay! Thanks for being here, Donovan.
Thank you for inviting me. This is one of the very few podcasts I've ever been on, so it's nice.
Oh, great. Well, I'm happy to have you. It makes me feel, I'm honored anyway.
Thank you.
This is awesome. All right, so first question, what inspired you to start giving back to the community at such a young age?
I'm going to give a slightly long story of what brought me to that, because it's really not a simple answer.
Okay.
Really what inspired me was my mother. Me and my mother were homeless at a time in our lives. We were in New Mexico, and after we recovered from that, she decided to homeschool me. I was no longer in public school. I was being homeschooled by her. And, one of the first science lessons I learned was how to make soap. Some people who know my story know that I've ended up being really good at that. But at the beginning, I gave it to just friends and family, and they loved it. a lot more than I probably was expecting. And that was probably actually one of the friends that I gave my soap to requested, like, hey, can you make soaps that kind of look like butterflies? They had a baby shower and they wanted that as a
Oh.
theme. And I was like, I'll see what I can do.
Wait,
And I
and
ended
how
up
old were
doing it.
you
I
at
think I
this
was
time?
either 12 or 13. It feels
Okay.
like a long time ago,
Yeah.
regardless. um, and I ended up doing it. I don't even remember what mold I used, but I ended up getting exactly what they wanted, and they were very happy at that. And I think that was kind of the first spark where I realized I might be able to, make a business out of this.
Yeah.
I could really take this further. And so I just continued making soaps that were in different shapes that people probably hadn't seen before. I was sourcing the molds from different things, either from molds that were originally supposed to make like ice. I was using those type of molds to make soaps that look like Darth Vader's face,
Oh,
soaps that
wow.
look like lemon. And so, really, to make that whole story short, I started selling them at a local rail yards market, which is just a farmer's market, but located in a rail yard. And my business was so good there that I just decided that I really wanted to thank the organizations that had helped my mother and I get out of homelessness. I feel like I hadn't thanked them enough. So I
Yeah.
dedicated about half of my sales directly towards them. And that was
Wow.
really my first instance of, I guess, philanthropy and
Yeah.
also just giving back.
Wow. And like, did that just like inspire you to keep going after that?
It really
That once,
did.
yeah,
It really did. Because, of course, I had other organizations that I really had to thank. It wasn't just one organization that helped my mother and I, it was really the whole community. And so, as my business grew and news coverage started to cover my story, hey, there's a kid in New Mexico who makes soaps or makes a hamburger that is actually soap and it smells like bacon. And guess what? He's also was once homeless there. So it was kind of like a
yeah,
feel good story. So I was kind of floating on that success, which led me to being able to pursue my philanthropy a little bit more. That same friend who requested the butterfly soaps said
yeah.
that they worked at a local homeless shelter, and my skill that I now had would really help them out because they were getting low on soaps and they did not know how they could manage that problem. Because the thing about soaps at homeless shelters, most people don't think about this, is that you can't just donate a Dove soap to them because
Mm,
these are homeless people who are just going to be having to carry that single bar from shower to shower. It can't really be shared that much. It's only a single bar of soap. So
yeah.
what they're having to do is like shave down or divide up and cut down from that single Dove soap. So it's enough for everybody there. So everyone can take a shower. So I devised just making single use soaps. A soap that was small enough where they could just get in there, clean everything that they needed to, and by the end of that shower, there would be nothing, left.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so I ended up creating that idea, and my initial goal was making, I don't even remember, it was either 700 or 1,000 soaps initially that year, and
Yeah.
it just kept growing and growing to the point where I was like, any shelter that needs soaps, come to
I
me.
got
I'm
you.
your guy. Yeah.
Yeah. 22,000 is crazy. Like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And
That's,
that's just accumulated over the years. That wasn't even my
yeah.
initial goal. I think if you told that number to like 13-year-old Don, hey, you're going to be making 22,000 soaps, I'd be like, what? No
Yeah,
way.
no way. That's a lot. I'm good with 1,000 because yeah, if you
Yeah.
think about 22,000 is
That's
a
way too
lot.
much.
Yeah, that's definitely an accomplishment itself. Like that's wow. And I guess my next question, I mean, you kind of answered some of these, but like, how
That's all
did your
good.
family and friends react as
Um,
you're making all these soaps and doing all this?
our friends and family are very supportive. Actually, I don't think I've had, no, so far from what I've seen, a hater yet in my family
Yeah,
or
that's
friend
good.
group. Like, oh, you shouldn't be making those soaps. No, everybody's been supportive. And I thank them very much for that. Of course, it was that one friend who, brought the
Yeah,
idea
who
to me
really,
that I should be doing this in the first place.
yeah.
But some of the friends were even in New Mexico themselves, in New Mexico itself. So sometimes they would help deliver these soaps to these organizations if I wasn't able to do it myself. Or, yeah, my whole family and friends have just been supportive. And I think the community has been too.
Yeah, that's great. And like, were there any challenges that you faced when you were creating all the soap and donating it? Did you ever face
Um,
any like particular
really,
challenges?
really, the challenge was trying to balance being homeschooled, running a business, and also trying to make a difference at the same time,
Yeah.
completely free of charge. That's really the main hiccup I've come across. Um, I kind of make up for the homeschooling because we adopted more of like a world schooling type of idea
Mm.
where after I was done running this whole business, we just decided to travel the world. And that was about just 2 years or so, just traveling through like Southeast Asia and learning the cultures firsthand rather than reading it in the book.
Y-
But no, not really, not many challenges.
Well,
Just
that's
trying to find a balance between all of it.
yeah. And speaking of traveling, where are you right now?
I am speaking from Chilen, Mexico. It's a little
Wow.
beach town above Mexico, Mérida specifically. That's a city in Mexico, and I've just been chilling really.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it's pretty nice here. I think I
Living the life.
prefer the heat a lot more than the cold I've experienced in like Spokane and even what's
Uh,
going on in the United States right now.
yeah. I'm in Philly right now, and I mean, actually, it's warmed up today, so it's been nice. But we've had I mean, honestly, because I lived in Kuwait the past 2 years beforehand, so it's
Oh,
been,
really?
yeah, so I was teaching abroad, and then I just moved back because I'm getting my master's right now.
Oh,
And
congratulations! That's nice.
thank you. And I realized after living in Kuwait that I need the four seasons. I didn't think I ever did, but like I'm from Indiana originally, so I'm used to like having
Hmm.
cold weather.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. It just feels right. But yeah,
yeah. The
traveling
whole
is
East Coast getting
good.
snow now. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, but even the South, Texas, Florida got snow. I'm like, ooh, the times that we're in.
I think anybody in Mexico wouldn't be too shocked though, because it's
Yeah.
either hot, or it is, you know, your toes are numb because of how bitter cold it is. It's really those
Oh,
kinds of extremes.
oh wow. Um, and I guess what lessons did you learn early on? Since you started this when you were like 12 or 13,
Hmm.
what big lessons would you say you've learned, and how have that like helped you
Um,
move forward to what you're doing today?
that's a good question. I think the main lesson is, and it's kind of become my motto lately, is do what you can.
Mm,
I think when people think of philanthropy, they kind of think of grand gestures like a $10,000 check to like an orphanage or something like
yeah.
that. But really, what I've had to learn over the years is it's really just simply asking a homeless shelter what they may need and trying to provide that the best you can. Um, it's really just doing what you can in your community, trying to fit the needs of your community. When I was in Spokane, I try to make soap again, but that's not what I went to Spokane after traveling through Southeast Asia.
Oh yeah. So after
Yeah,
you, yeah.
yeah. Uh, so I started to get back into making soap, but that's not really what they needed at all.
Mm,
We were living in the middle of COVID and also growing food insecurity. I mean, there's so many food deserts currently in America.
yeah.
And so I just really applied my motto of do what you can and looked around and like, what can I do to make a difference? And I was like, well, maybe I can start a garden. But that idea initially seemed kind of crazy because I don't have a garden. I'm in a kind of a small apartment. I don't have a backyard.
Yeah.
And so I just try to create a method of like looking for ways I can start a garden. I started a crack key method, which is just having soil in a jar, kind of on your countertop, and that grows some tomatoes. And then I expanded that bigger into having a hydroponic garden right in the middle of my living room.
And you like taught yourself all this, right? It's not like you
Yeah.
knew. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
nobody taught me this. I was just sourcing this off the internet.
Yeah.
It's just this guy. Nobody asked for this at all. He's just, oh, now I've got a garden in the middle of my living room. All right.
Yeah.
So
you see a need and you feel it. That's what's up.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I've had to learn over the years. Yeah. So I started growing about 100 heads of lettuce like a month, and anybody who needs it, any local organization needs some fresh lettuce, come and get some. Really.
Wow. And are you still doing that today, or like now you're
No.
in Mexico? So like, yeah, what are you up to?
No.
I guess leading up. So you did the soaps, you did the growing the food.
Yeah.
I mean, now you're a published author. So can we talk a little bit about that? And I guess, yeah, what else you're doing?
Well, I mean, I can make soaps in the future.
Yeah.
I think the cool thing right now, at this very moment, is that I have all these skills I've collected over the years. Now I can really use them however I want in the future. Like maybe I do want to start a garden again in the future. I'm not doing anything right now because I'm kind of vacationing and finding where I really want to permanently live.
Which is fair, yeah.
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 Like maybe I could start this open again, but I don't know right now. But at this very moment, I need to do some philanthropy again because I'm getting that urge again. I need to do something. Can't just be sitting here doing nothing.
Yeah.
That's just my nature. But right now, I just have 3 published books. One is a children's book. One is an activity book. And one is kind of like a travel guidebook. So yeah, that's what I have right now. That's what I've been working on.
You want to drop the names of some of them so we can...
The travel guidebook is based on the Philippines. I lived in the Philippines for a little bit, for a couple months last year, actually. And I really want to give people an alternative to, you're not just stuck in America.
Yeah.
Whether you like the last administration or don't like this one, you don't have to be here, really.
Yeah.
And so that's really what my travel guidebook.
Oh, you're fine.
It's called Escaping the American Dream, Philippines Edition. And it's a guidebook specifically for Americans who want to escape America. They don't know jack squat really about travel, but they want to start living abroad. And so that book is based on everything you might need to know in living in Philippines. Next one is Bubbles and Brain Teasers, a crafty activity book. I think that's the subtitle. That's my activity book. And that's really just based entirely on like bath products and soap making. So I have like a couple word search puzzles. I have crossword puzzles in there. I also have some of my favorite easy, beginner-friendly soap recipes, some recipes to make like body butters and stuff like that. And so, yeah, that's the activity book. It has a whole bunch of recipes in it and puzzles. And the latest one is called How Donovan Discovered the Gift of Kindness. I believe I released that last month.
And that's a children's book.
Yeah, based on my own life story. Basically telling this journey, of course, based on my own life events of traveling from Georgia to New Mexico as a young kid and how that experience felt, celebrating Christmas in a whole new home, whole new state with brand new strangers, and really being able to learn what it means to have community. And so that's kind of what the book is about. It's a little boy discovering the gift of kindness. I'm working on a sequel to that, but that's currently what I have.
Yeah, better check that out, listeners. I'm definitely going to check that out. That sounds like a great book, and I'm very curious about your journey. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
And I guess going into all this, I mean, you've given back a lot, and like just in general, and like you kind of mentioned, like a lot of people, when we think about philanthropy, we might think of like, oh, you have to have a lot of money to give back, and you have to like, do all this, be really successful, then you can give back. Like, what advice or like, I don't know, not advice, but like, why do you think it's important for people just to get involved now? Like, you don't have to wait until you get successful. Why would you say you can get involved today?
I would say exactly that. You can get started today. It doesn't have to be a big gesture like I listed. Actually, towards the back of the book of the How Donald Discovered the Gift of Kindness, I list a couple ways that people, just everyday people, can make a difference in their community. One of those being, just contact your shelter, ask what they're low on, and try to provide that. In my line of experience, sometimes it's just donating toothbrushes or feminine hygiene products or combs. Really just ask, call, contact, hit up in the DMs, your local shelter, and see what they need and try to provide that the best you can. Trying is better than nothing. And a second method is something you can really apply every day. There are so many homeless people currently in America, and just treating them with dignity and grace goes a long way. I cannot overstate this enough. People look at you differently when you're homeless, whether you recovered from it or currently homeless. So if you're not homeless and you just treat a homeless person as just a simple human being, they're just like your neighbor. Any one of us could become homeless. Then that goes a long way. And not dehumanizing them, making them feel better, and really hearing them out. Understand what they're going through right now.
Yeah.
So just treating them with respect and asking your local shelters what they need.
Nice. Yeah, you can do both of those today, every day, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. And is there, I guess that kind of goes with it, but is there any advice you would give other, ways they can make a difference? If they want to make another difference in their communities, any other advice you would give?
I can't think of any right now, but I really want to emphasize that I was just a kid in Albuquerque who learned something cool from a science lesson. And I just decided to apply that to make a difference in my community, just to make the lives of others a little bit better. It just so happened that people, I guess, really loved buying soaps that looked like Darth Vader. But that was really the crux of it, that I just have the skill, and I want to make a difference in other people's lives. I think each one of us have unique talents, unique skills that we can apply to our own communities. If you're a baker, maybe you decide to bake some goods and donate them to a local shelter or food bank, or maybe just volunteer at a soup kitchen. If you, I don't know, if maybe you're just someone who sells things on Depop, you have no sellers for that clothes. Well, try donating those clothes to a local shelter or someplace that really needs those clothes. It's currently winter in America. A lot of people need to be warm this winter. If you feel cold in your own house or in your car, just imagine how people feel in those tent cities with really the bare minimum.
Yeah.
So I think just applying our own skills to our community is a good thing to remember.
And I guess this is the last question in a way. What is there any memorable moment or story about somebody that you've helped that really touched you or that you remember?
Yeah, definitely a couple. I think two specifically. The first one being that I was gifted a store from Facebook's show Returning the Favor. I was one of their episodes, and it was really a whole storefront. The storefront was called Discovers. I ran it for about a year, couple months. It was a lot of work. Eventually, I quit and just traveled the world. But during one of those days of running the storefront, a guy came in with his daughter. I'm not going to name, who he is or anything. I'm pretty sure he preferred being anonymous. And he said, we were homeless at a time. He felt like it was safe that he could share that story with me as a former homeless person, that he himself was homeless. He was just living out of a car. Eventually he recovered from homelessness. But the fact that I was doing this after recovering from homelessness just really touched him. It was inspirational to him. So that kind of blew my mind that there are really people who have to keep being homeless as a secret in their lives because of the kind of connotations that go with homelessness. Oh, you must have been on drugs, or this and that. Oh, you must have deserved it. It's just these stigmas people do it, place on people subconsciously. But yeah, that was great that a grown man really felt comfortable to share that he went through that, and that what I was doing was incredible. A second story or second person's life that was incredible to see change was before I quit really the Dawn Discovers storefront, there was an employee I had. His name was Anthony, and he was really my best employee. He was homeless. He was doing vocational training so he could, become an employee of actual places. Yeah. And Dawn Discovers was one of the first places he worked at. And so I really appreciated the amount of time he put into my store, just really the bond we grew over the span of those months. And so when I kind of locked up shop for Dawn Discovers, I decided just to, pay out, I believe, like an entire year's worth of rent at a local apartment. It was kind of like nearby, across the street or neighborhood. Very nice apartments. I lived there before, actually. Yeah. So he didn't have to worry about that. You don't have to go back to the shelter or wherever you might have been staying. You can stay here, your own, abode, finally, for a whole year. For a whole year, yeah. And his eyes lit up, and we took pictures. And as far as I know, he's been good ever since, at least for a couple years, too. Yeah. All he needed was just someone to give him the opportunity to be back on his feet. And that really propelled him. So that was incredible.
Really, that's incredible to hear. Wow. And just the difference, you were still young at that time, right? Like you did your storefront, and
I still had a little squeaky voice. I was still kind of shorter than most people.
Had employees, and
the big difference back then is I had a big fro too. Now I just have low hair.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
Wow. And I guess, thank you so much, Donovan. Like this was great and inspiring. So yeah,
thank you for inviting me to the show.
Yeah, like if you find a need, fill it. You can start today to give back. You don't need to wait. If you see somebody experiencing homelessness, treat them like normal people. Like, just say hi. Like there are people too. And,
there are people too. Any one of us can become homeless.
Yeah.
It's important to remember to all listeners that these are trying times right now. We need community more than ever before. Just look out for one another. Yeah, that's what I want to leave the audience with.
And where can we listeners follow your journey and catch up with you if they're interested?
They can follow me on Blue Sky. I recently joined there. I believe it's Donovan's Tyee author. I might be messing up these.
So Donovan, Donovan, and then Tyee, Tyee?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it has author in it too. I'd be messing up that username a little bit, but you will find me eventually. Okay. I'm also on Fanbase, very new as well. Just Dawn Discovers. That's my username. I am running a TikTok page called Dawn Discovers as well. That seems to be very successful now. So that's the main places I want to promote. Is my TikTok, my Blue Sky, and Fanbase.
All right.
So yeah.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Donovan. I will definitely keep following your journey. And
thank you.
Yeah, you're an inspiration. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you all for listening.
That was Donovan Smith, someone who didn't wait for the right moment to give, but instead created a movement of generosity from a young age. And his story reminds us that philanthropy isn't just for the famous or the wealthy. It's for anyone who sees a need and feels compelled to do something about it. You don't need a huge budget. or a large platform to make a difference. You just need a willingness to give, whether it's your time, your talents, or simply your kindness. Think about it. You can start giving today. It could be as simple as treating people with respect, offering a helping hand, or finding a cause that speaks to you. When you find a need that matters to you and you step in to fill it, you're becoming a philanthropist. And sometimes those acts of giving can ignite something within us, a spark that can guide us through the darkest moments and bring a brighter clarity to our path. If you're paying attention, you might have just heard the answer to today's clue. Remember, a name is missing from the ledger, and the first letter is B. So what does that mean for what was lost? Next episode, we take the first step toward uncovering what really happened. Something was taken, but no one noticed until now. Think you know the answer to the first clue? Hold on to it, because the next piece of the puzzle is coming soon. And as you think about the mystery we've started to unravel today, remember, sometimes the answers are hidden in the most unexpected places. Keep looking, keep exploring, and stay tuned. This quest is just getting started.